EGM Network.
Honestly, without Treasure Coast Community Health, I think we'd be a much poorer community in terms of our health. We're always striving to fill the gap for everyone in the community, rich or poor.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Community Conversations. So glad that you've got us on your radio today. And if you're interested, we're also on Facebook and YouTube, so that you can take a look at some of the visuals that we add to this conversation every week. We're awfully glad that you're here, though, because we know you have choices on your radio dial as well, and we hope that the information that we bring you through our colleagues and collaborators throughout the community are sharing with us. We know that health is not a one-person issue, nor is it a one-person solution. And so we do collaborate a lot with others in the community. And today, we're putting health and housing together, as I have Marty Mercado here from Hope for Families. So welcome, Marty.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
I don't think we've ever had you on here.
I don't think so. I don't think so. No.
So let's talk about what Hope for Families is and what it is not as a starting place.
Well, let's start with what it's not. A lot of people think Hope for Family Center is emergency shelter. And we will work with our community if there is a big need, if someone's living under a bridge or the children are in danger, we will work to get them into the shelter. But we're really a program and a holistic program that wraps their arms around the family and gives them the resources they need in order to get out of the situation that they're currently in.
And you have taken that, I know, over the last umpteen years to a higher and higher level. We originally partnered with you saying, you know, how can we get our people in? But then you started looking at some of the case management and some of the behavioral health barriers that your people faced and tried to find a solution. And so kudos.
Absolutely. We, you know, for me, if it's proven methods, but we can keep the family unit together and help them on a mental health care basis, as well as medical help, as well as, you know, finding jobs, helping them to find jobs or education, and the children staying in school, we will make a difference. It's when we try to separate the families and help each person individually that it becomes chaos and it just doesn't work. So we've worked really hard in our case management program to make sure that when we're working with the entire family and helping with if they're 2 days old or 65 years old, that they're getting the support they need.
And you say 2 days old because I know you've had lots of babies come through.
We have a ton of babies right now. In fact, if you come to our shelter at about 6:30, I call it the crying hour. Everybody's crying and wanting a bath and wanting to go to bed. And you see all the support staff. Somebody has a baby in their arms at all times because, you know, being a single mom is tough and working full time and then trying to get dinner and trying to get yourself showered and then the baby showered. We all have babies in our arms at one time.
I was going to say, I think every new mom outside of your shelter would like to have somebody holding baby at the end of the day as you're trying to, as you say, acclimate it back after a full-time day job that's probably made you pull your hair out at least once or twice, and then getting dinner and taking care of everybody at the same time. That's tough.
It's tough, and we have limited restrooms too. So, you know, we have to, the back half of our shelter is dormitory style restrooms. So we have to schedule a time for them to shower and use the facilities. And then our families that are ready to move out, they have a Jack and Jill type bathroom that they share. So, and then you factor in laundry with 4 washers and 4 dryers. It's a constant.
It's like a large family.
It is.
Exponentially multiplied.
I had a hard time with 3 kids and a 2-bathroom house, and you know. But I think that's what's unique about it is that we do operate in a family dynamic. We do help if we need to. I always say the biggest fights happen around the wash machine. Somebody leaves their laundry in there and, you know.
For 3 seconds after the cycle stops.
But it's also teaching our families to how to cohabitate and how to work together and some really strong friendships are born sometimes between the families, and they support each other when they leave. So that's kind of
I would imagine parenting skills too
absolutely
rub off, not just from your staff, but also from other parents, and tips and tools that young families might not have that family support of anymore. You know, in the old days, you know, where a lot of relatives lived within a few block area, you had aunts and cousins and different generations, you know, that were getting together and sharing things, even if it was just, I'll pick up your kids and, you know, you make my dinner or whatever.
It's very interesting you say that. I had an individual that was having some behavior issues in the shelter, and I said, let me take a stab at it. Let me try. Let me do some talking. And so we sat down and we started talking, and that's exactly what she said to me. She said, I feel like I'm failing as a parent. I don't have any kind of role model. I don't know what to do. The child's 2. And, you know, she's,
not an easy age.
you know, and so my youngest is 22, my oldest is 34. So I have a little bit of parenting behind me, but I just talked to her like my mom talks to me. And I said, you're doing a great job. This is a stressful situation. And we talked about some coping skills. And when we had a case management meeting the following week, the staff said, boy, her attitude has changed. And I think sometimes we're quick to judge. Especially when there's behavior. And I always say to my case management team, if there is a outlandish behavior going on, we need to figure out why that behavior is happening. It's a reactionary moment, and what is making that person react. And so we actually see the healing process happen. You know, you have a family come in and they're in extreme crisis. The kids are running up and down the hallway. It's just chaos. And then, you know, you start to see the change. They become better parents. They get out of that fight or flight mode. And I hire a lot of our families that leave. We have several support staff that have been with us, and that lived experience really helps them.
Well, as you're talking, I'm thinking about the gal that I had on here from Safe Families. And that's sort of the, I don't want to call it outpatient, but yeah, it's out of shelter continuation, or sometimes you haven't been in a shelter, but it is the volunteers that help support individuals. And, you know, I've mentioned on more than one occasion that we have 6 kids, only 1 natural, the other 5 were adopted at different times. And, you know, yet the refrain between my husband and I was, they didn't come with an instruction packet.
No,
I'm not sure what to do. And each child is different.
Absolutely.
Each situation is different. You can have 2 kids that are very similar in their attitudes and what they do, and yet at different times of your life as a parent, your reactions are different. Hopefully better as you learn,
yes,
but not always, depending on what's going on.
Depending on what's going on.
Exactly.
And it's very interesting. You know, I was a young mom because my older 2 are 34 and will be 34 and will be 32. And I definitely parent different than the child that's 22, you know, and I try to explain that to the moms that are in there. You know, I'm like, you mature with the kids. But I think it's important to remember that, again, they don't have that support anywhere. A lot of them don't. Some families do. Some people have some families that are around, but a lot of them don't. And so we follow them for 24 months if they allow us after they leave us, just to kind of check in. And, you know, they come back to the shelter. We give them food if they need it. But I think that's important.
An extended family, basically.
Because that social determinant of health is so important to get them connected in the community, get them involved in the arts, get them involved in, you know, we collaborate with a lot of organizations such as yours, and they take that with them. And so they have those life-building skills and the life-sustaining skills, we call them. And we say if something, they call us in there like, you know, something happened today, I'm not feeling well. We're like, well, did you call Treasure Coast, or have you talked to Healthy Start? Or, and they continue to utilize that, and then they do okay.
And that's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a helping hand up.
Absolutely.
In a different fashion than Unite Against Poverty or Safe Families. It's at different times of their lives. We've talked a lot about young people, but you don't just have young people that apply or come into your Hope for Families, do you?
No, we have grandparents. We haven't had any for a while, but we do get occasional grandparents raising grandchildren. And, you know, that is a whole different animal.
Because everything has changed since we raised our own.
Absolutely. I have 2, I call them bonus grandchildren. They're step grandchildren, but they're I love them dearly. It's different, and it's really fun to play with them, and then it's really fun to say bye, but then if you're kind of set in your life, and then all of a sudden, whether it's tragedy or mom or dad chooses to make poor decisions, and you have these children, and you're just making it on what you have coming in for Social Security, that's a whole nother animal. But what we do is we work with the family and also say, what are some other options? Are there aunts and uncles that maybe live in Georgia who could help out, really push that multi-generational living for those families? Because if the grandparents are old enough and the children are young enough, the grandparents are going to pass away before the children are ready to be on their own. So we want to try to create that family connection somewhere so the children don't go into the foster care system.
Exactly. And truthfully, I'm not sure that what's presented to the grandparents always takes that in mind, because in Florida, grandparents have almost no rights
that is correct.
To the children. And so it's basically you take them or you won't see them until they're 18. And so there is that, isn't that consideration of, well, if I take them, what happens? Can I have a guardian, like another, as you say, a niece or nephew or somebody else that's
distant cousin, just somebody.
And they really don't encourage that. So I'm really happy to hear that you do.
We had when I've been at Hope for Families now in July, it'll be 5 years. Can you believe that?
Congrats.
I feel like I just started yesterday. But when I very first came, I was there, and there was a grandma that was there raising the granddaughter. And so we started that conversation and started reaching out, trying to mend the relationship with the daughter and look for cousins. And we ended up finding family and started the process of the reunification with the mother. And she passed away. And this child was only about 10 years old. And so it really stood out in my mind that when we have humans of experience, I like to call them, considering I'm a grandma now, that they have the resources they need for that period in their lifetime. And it's very different than our young moms and dads that are coming through.
Well, we really appreciate that breadth of experience and open arms that you give to everyone. We're going to have to take a short break for a word from our sponsors. We could just blow right on through it, but I don't think they'd appreciate that. And we'll be back to talk about more specifics about your program.
Okay, thank you.
Treasure Coast Community Health in-house pharmacies have the lowest prices in Indian River County, even lower than big box pharmacies. Taking your medication as prescribed leads to better health. Affordable medicine makes it easier. Treasure Coast Community Health patients can pick up medicine as they leave the office or use free delivery and mail order services. Pharmacists are always available to answer questions. Switch to TCCH pharmacies. Save money, stay healthy. 772-257-8224 and ask about our price match.
At Sunshine Furniture, our 35,000 square foot showroom is filled with the largest selection of coastal furniture on the Treasure Coast. Sofas, love seats, dining sets, and bedroom groups in the latest styles and colors from Four Seasons, Braxton Color, Riverside, Universal Coastal Living, Hooker, Capri, Tommy Bahama, and lots more. We're the outdoor furniture experts and have anything you need for your outdoor living from Lloyd Flanders, Kingsley Bate, Brown Jordan, and Woodard, including a gallery of maintenance-free furniture from Berlin Gardens and Pollywood. Right now, during our Memorial Savings event, we have lots of great half-price specials, including another 10% off on all Tommy Bahama and Lexington furniture in stock or special orders. And all pictures, lamps, and accessories are half price. Sunshine Furniture, 1295 US 1 in the Publix Plaza, Vero Beach. Don't forget to visit our outlet and sales store directly across the street that is filled with name brand closeouts, and visit our website at sunshinefurniturecasual.com.
Party on, America! It's the Main Street Downtown Patriotic Party, presented by GHO Homes. Pop on over to downtown Vero Beach for a free street party with live music by Reckless Shots, plus kids games, beer, food trucks, and prizes. Be ready to dance from 6 to 9. Admissions as free as America. Sponsored by GHO Homes, Mangrove Sands Golf Club and Restaurant, and Formula One of Vero Beach. The Downtown Patriotic Party, a Main Street Vero Beach event, Friday, May 30th at 6 p.m. in downtown Vero Beach.
And welcome back to Community Conversations. If you're just joining us, my name is Vicki Soule. I'm the CEO of Treasure Coast Community Health. But as most of you know, although I am the face of Treasure Coast Community Health, we are backed by over 300 professionals at 8 different locations, providing primary care services to everyone in our community. We originated as a place where low-income, uninsured, or underinsured individuals could come, but we have a mixed group of volunteers that sit on our board, and some of them don't need, quote unquote, to use Treasure Coast, but they do so because of the fine services that we offer. We have others that have been regular patients of ours and want to do something more, so they have become part of our volunteer board, and that group helps us determine when, where, what services we provide, how we provide them, and they keep us accountable in a very strong and succinct way. If you have any desire to expand your give back to Treasure Coast Community Health and would rather do it in time and talent as opposed to a donation here or there, we welcome hearing from you. Today, though, I'm really thrilled that I have Marty Mercado here. She is the CEO, Executive Director of Hope for Families, which is not just a shelter, but a program of getting families back on their feet. And we have aligned with them for more than Marty's existence.
Yes, long time.
A long, long time. And we're very, very happy to see that Marty and her group have moved people forward with a hand up in lots of barrier removing instances. So we've talked a lot about that. We really didn't ever get back to the core of how many families you can serve. You're in a construction process to serve more.
Ooh, yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm in the thick of it. I feel like I have my seatbelt on. So currently we're able to serve, we have 21 rooms, but because of the construction, we had to move admin into the shelter. So we have 18 rooms at the moment.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. But it keeps our wait list ever growing. Our wait list averages right around 80 families during tax season time, up to 180 families we see towards Christmas. The 5 years I've been there, the last 4, the numbers have not changed. And so we knew we needed to grow. And we were gifted the land that sits, I guess it would be the east of the shelter.
Which is on 4th?
It's 4th Place. Yeah,
Okay.
Between 4th Street and 4th Place. I call it the Hope for Families Peninsula because we're kind of like a little peninsula there. Wayne Hochmeyer was very generous and donated that land to us. And so I went to the board of directors and I said, we need to do one of two things. We either need to sell the land and invest the money for future growth down the line.
Someplace else.
Yes. Or we build. And I honestly thought they were going to say the first plan A. And they go, let's build. And so I'm like, okay, here we go. But I'm just extremely honored that they're trusting me with this project because it's going to be life-changing for so many people. So when we're done, our projected time frame is this fall. Our admin building will be done as early as the end of July.
So that increases your capacity back at your original building.
Yes, back to 21. And then we're building a second shelter space, which will have 20 more rooms. So we'll have 41 shelter rooms, and then we'll have 9 apartments.
Wow.
So it was
fantastic.
Yeah, it was a $5.5 million project. John's Island Foundation gave us a grant. The Scully family has been extremely generous, as well as several other capital campaign donors. And we really did it within 2 years. We raised that money.
Phenomenal.
We need a little bit more because, of course, with the type of work we do, we need cameras and we need lots of beds, and we have to get special beds to avoid getting bed bugs.
Special beds for that?
I didn't know that. There are. The whole topic makes me itchy.
Yes.
But it's the way they're sewn. The bed bugs can't get into the material. Yeah, in fact, our furniture is bed bug free furniture too. So
learn something new every day.
See, I'm already getting itchy just thinking about it.
Exactly. That's my head.
But some of our families are coming from camping. So, we take all the precautions. We help them wash their clothes in hot water and all of that, but we want to make sure that it's a clean environment. And then for the transitional apartments, the families will be able to stay up to a year, maybe a little bit more. If they're working with Habitat for Humanity to build their home, we'll let them stay a little longer. But
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but that
Great
is
collaboration.
That is for people that are looking, if you come in and your credit score is 420 and you have 4 or 5 evictions on your background, like
Who's going to take you in?
Right. It doesn't matter how much money we have, it's not going to work. Yeah. So that'll give them an opportunity they're going to pay a program fee, and we'll put them through even deeper, extensive financial literacy training so that when their time is up in that transitional apartment, we'll actually go to the landlord and say, look, they've paid money for this apartment. We're going to charge them $800 a month. Mm-hmm. And they've worked on their financial literacy. When they came in, they're at 420. Now they're at 680. And so that way they have the
basis, stability,
the foundation to stand on to move forward. Because and we're able to case manage them on a much closer basis. So we'll be hiring one more case manager, and that case manager will work specifically with that population. And, we're also restructuring some of the case management and how we're going to do things. We're ramping up doing a lot of training right now. So because we want to give the best possible support we can.
And is that support something that you get some from volunteers as well? I know it's a very caring community with a lot of retirees. So I'm wondering if you're able to use their expertise to help with like financial counseling.
We do. We use, we've had several volunteers come in and give a seminar on financial literacy. We had one lady come in and she taught sign language, which was really fun for the whole families because we try to do, life skills that they could use somewhere else. Cleveland Clinic comes in once a month and gives classes on nutrition, parenting, how to manage your time with kids. They're great. That's been an excellent program. So we try to have at least once a week some kind of enrichment activity, such as financial literacy. And let me tell you, finding healthy food when you're struggling on a budget is hard because the cheaper food, the high carb food, mac and cheese is a lot cheaper than sometimes buying a bunch of bananas. So, Cleveland Clinic has been very helpful in teaching them how to budget and find what they need.
And so are they able to use the United Against Poverty grocery store?
They do. We use United Against Poverty as one of our favorite
go-tos.
Yes.
We're so lucky in this county.
I know. I just love United Against Poverty. So not only do they do that, but United Against Poverty also, we send several of our families over if they have a dead-end job and they're not getting anywhere, and we utilize a STEP program. And we've watched people come in, we do a series about every quarter called Under Our Roof, and there's one young lady that spoke at this last Under Our Roof. She came in, she was 20, she ran away from home, she lived on the streets of Miami. Her father was very abusive. She was safer on the streets of Miami, so that should tell you. She ended up getting pregnant. And she came in and she would never make eye contact with me. We sent her to STEP and now she's hair done. She actually sassed me a little bit the other day. I was like, girl, I'm liking this new person. And she has a really great job and she's raising her baby.
That is awesome.
So you're
turning lives around.
Well, and it was the STEP program that did it. I mean, she would come back and tell me, we did this today or we did that today. And nobody's just given her a chance to have the backbone to sass back. Yeah, it's good to see.
It absolutely is.
So we concentrate on making sure that they feel that confidence.
So when people apply and you tell them there is a wait list, is it next up automatically, or do you do some sort of evaluation in terms of urgency and or like this young gal, a real need to have that neighborhood wrapped, and we only have 1 minute, so you got to be quick.
So we utilize HMIS, which is a data system that we ask them a bunch of questions, and we put all those questions in, and it gives them the score.
Okay.
The higher the score, the faster they come in.
Excellent. So you can't be accused of being biased because you like the color of their hair.
Absolutely not. Correct.
So I'm not going to add to your wait list, but I do want to say thank you, everyone, for being here today. I hope that this gives you a better understanding of one of the most wonderful resources we have in our community. And if you're so inclined, hopeforfamilies.com?
.org.
Okay. I'm sure she has a donate button.
I do.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Marty.
Thank you.